Hey everybody, it is Johanna. I am back with the Orbital Astrology forecast. This is going to be for the week of October 2nd through October 8th. So we are officially into Libra season. We're officially into October. The summer is over. We've gone through that transitional period of Virgo, and now we are into the official cardinal start of a new season. We've had the fall equinox, and we are sorry, my phone's going off. We are into this time of the year. And I also am getting over a little bit of a cold. So if I'm clearing my throat or sniffling a little bit, I apologize. But I really wanted to sort of talk about this time of the year, um, as being special. And of course, we're going to talk about Mercury coming out of retrograde, Mercury stationing direct, all of that stuff in a second here. But and also, if you are watching this live, say hi in the chat. And if you're not, if you're watching the replay, super excited that you are here and love this time of the year. So what's interesting about this time of the year, the beginning of October, also the first new moon of October signifies the official start of the Navajo New Year. So here in New Mexico, the Navajo people, the Diné people live here. They're the original settler or the original ancestors of this land. This is actually the beginning of the Navajo New Year. So in Navajo, that is called the Gajah, and that happens during the first new moon of October, or this whole month of October is considered to be the month of Gajah because it translates as back to back. So the back to back of summer and winter, and there's this in between season, right? This fall season that's like a transitional phase, and it's also the start of the joining of the seasons, right? The start of how we get to harvest and how we get to prepare for the fall. So it is very much related to the planting and harvesting cycle. And I really love that the Navajo New Year starts in October. It starts at the very beginning of fall because it's also astrologically in Western astrology, it's a Libra season. It's a Venus ruled season. So Venus is the planet of love and celebration and sharing and connecting. And we think of Libra season as being this beautiful time of the year when the leaves are changing in the northern hemisphere. All of that. I talked a little bit about this, I think in the last forecast. But I just love that the Navajo New Year is celebrating the abundance of the harvest, celebrating the culmination of the growing season, and then beginning to start that new year in a place of fullness and abundance versus our Gregorian calendar, which starts it starts in in the middle of the winter solstice or the cardinal season of Capricorn. But it's also the darkest, coldest, most barren time of the year. I mean, nothing's growing, everything's hibernating. There's no fullness of life. There's nothing, seasonally that we're really celebrating. I mean, it is a Saturn-ruled season, Capricorn season is. And so when we have our new year in the middle of the beginning of January and like the midst of Capricorn season, it doesn't have that same sort of, refreshing, happy, abundant feeling, even though we do make all these New Year's resolutions and focus on what we want for the new year. But I just really wanted to talk about how special it is to have the new year starting in October, being ruled by Venus, and just thinking about all of the end of that summer season where everything is in abundance and all the food is plentiful, and we're stashing it away for the winter, and we get to celebrate all of the beauty of the fall. So that's a quick intro. I wanted to just acknowledge that this is the time of the year that the Navajos have the new year. Obviously, I am not an expert in this area. Please do not take my word as the word of whatever. I am not an official tribal member, so please, if you want to learn more about this, go and look up some awesome people on YouTube, like Navajo Grandma. She's great. Then and do your own research if you are local. So don't take it from the words of my white mouth. So go ahead and find out your authentic connection to people who actually get to celebrate this culture and where it comes from. So anyway, moving towards we have someone here. Yeah. So moving towards the astrology of this week, right? We are in the first week of October. It is October 2nd. And guess what happens today, right? Mercury is coming out of retrograde after 3 weeks. It went on, I think it was the end of September. The date, what was it? September. I don't have the actual date. I forgot exactly when it was, but I did mark down um, the the date that we will be coming out of the shadow period. So if you're like, what is the shadow period? Um, Technically, Mercury has come out of retrograde, which means that it has stopped moving backwards in our perspective of the sky. So now that Mercury has gone back over all of those degrees of the zodiac, it's going to station, which it does today, and now it's going to move forward. So it's retracing all of those steps that it took when it went through retrograde. So now we're in this what's called the shadow period, right? Because we still are dealing with some of these issues of the retrograde, but at least we're moving in a forward motion. So before the retrograde, when Mercury is going backwards, we couldn't, move forward on the things we wanted to do. There was a lot of rehashing ideas, rethinking things, getting clarifying things. There was not a lot of forward motion, but there was a lot of redoing. So now we have thought about all those things. We've had, conversations. We've come into more clarity, realizations, all of those things. And now we can start moving forward. However, those issues that we were dealing with during Mercury retrograde are going to be coming back up again. But at least we have more clarity and we can move in a forward motion, right? And Mercury is back in Virgo, so it's very strong. It's very able and capable of doing the things that it needs to do. And then it will move back into Libra on in October here. I think on the 10th, maybe next week. I think it's next week that Mercury moves into Libra, but it's going to actually clear its shadow around October 16th. So somewhere between, I think, the 16th and the 17th, it will move past 8 degrees of Libra, which is where it stationed retrograde. So that means that we'll be out of the shadow. All of the stuff that we've been dealing with during this retrograde will be in the past. We can finally have sort of a fresh look at what's going to be coming up for us for the rest of October. And Mercury will be in Libra. So that'll be a whole new energy coming through. And yeah, so everything else we're looking at this week is mostly related to Mercury and Pluto. We also have some interesting things coming up with Chiron, so that'll be kind of an opportunity to look at your own healing journey, your own idea about where you want to go with your own health in this next week. And so let's just jump right into that. Let's see. The moons we have going on right now, we have the moon in Capricorn. Monday, the moon will be moving. Moon still in Capricorn tomorrow. Tuesday, it moves into Aquarius. So we have moon in Aquarius on Tuesday and Wednesday the 5th. Thursday the 6th, moon moves into Pisces. So we'll have a Pisces moon from the 6th to the 7th on Friday. Saturday the 8th is when the moon moves into Aries and gets ready for that full moon that's coming up, which I'll talk a little bit at the end. But the big stuff that's happening, right, because Mercury is out of retrograde and it almost immediately makes a interesting alignment with the planet Pluto. So that's happening on Thursday this week. The beginning of the week is pretty like laid back, not a lot of big configurations. The moon is going to be, moving through the signs, activating whatever area of your chart you have Capricorn and Aquarius in. But Wednesday is interesting because we have a void of course moon. And if you've heard astrology, if you know a little bit about astrology, you've probably heard of the void of course moon. And most modern astrologers use that pretty liberally, I think, as far as like what exactly the void of course moon means. It's basically the time period between when the moon makes its last aspect to a planet before it moves into the next sign. So that happens pretty frequently, but this actually is going to be something different on Wednesday the 5th. The traditional void of course moon means something completely different and does not happen very often. So for the most part, people say don't start new things during the void of course moon, or don't do things that you want a specific result from, because the void of course moon literally indicates that nothing will come of whatever you're doing. So, if you wanted to sit home, relax, read a book, meditate, sort of lay low on those days, that's really what you should be doing, unless you're wanting to do something that doesn't you don't want to have a result come out of it, like um an argument with somebody. You don't want a negative thing to come out of it, or you don't want the action that you're taking on that day to have any sort of specific result. So don't start a business on that day, don't get married on that day. So and then if you've already planned your wedding, I'm just saying don't cancel it or anything, but go right ahead and do what you need to do. So Wednesday the 5th is a traditional void of course moon, which does not happen very often. And so I would take that day for relaxation, for reflection, not to start anything new, and no big projects on that day. So the other thing that is happening Thursday the 6th is the Pluto trine Mercury. So Mercury has gone direct, right? Mercury has regained a bunch of its strength. So it's going to want to be active. It's going to want to make decisions. It's going to want to talk about things, share ideas, exchange things. I mean, Mercury really is about, let's see, yeah, like the exchange of commerce, the exchange of words, the exchange of ideas. It's out there like wheeling and dealing, right? That's Mercury's very fast, quick moving, mercurial type of energy. So when Mercury comes into contact with Pluto, which it's going to make a trine aspect to Pluto on Thursday this week, that's an intensification of wanting to do all those things. So there may be some major transformational energy happening with Mercury wanting to take action this week. So I would say that think about what we've learned during Mercury retrograde and what has come into clarification for you. What has really shown up for you, especially in the areas of transformation and power. Also, what sort of what became very I don't know, intense for you during Mercury retrograde? Was there something that happened that was really, disturbing, or something that happened that was really exciting, or something? Because Pluto always sort of makes things extreme, right? So think about what you were going through during Mercury retrograde, and this can be the opportunity to take action, or to actually heal from that, or finally transform from whatever gunk you were dealing with during Mercury retrograde into something more empowering, right? Because Pluto definitely represents power, and it can be very empowering as well. So that's pretty intense on Thursday. I mean, that's a great opportunity to do something like big. Um, if you all, honestly, if you don't want to like do the big conversation, or send the intense email, um, it can be something a little more internal, a little more reflective. Mercury's in Virgo, Pluto's in Capricorn. Those are two earth signs working together in a very functional way. So this could be something like building something physical in your life, or creating structure in your life in some aspect, or it could be transforming the structure of your life through verbal or written communication. So yeah, like signing leases or doing big deeds. Those are kind of Mercury trine Pluto activities, like very serious, intense things. Friday, there's going to be some interesting things going on. Like I said, we have some Chiron energy coming up. So the sun is going to be opposite Chiron. Chiron is currently, I think, retrograde in Aries. Is it retrograde still? Yep. So we have Chiron retrograde in Aries. We have Libra. The sun is moving through Libra, obviously, because it is Libra season. So these two are going to come into opposition with each other on Friday. And I thought this would be a good opportunity for everybody to sort of think about where you are on your healing process, what issues, what wounds have come up for you lately, and what's keeping you from getting those healed, or what's stopping you. Would you have some sort of barrier that's coming up? I mean, sometimes these things come up during Mercury retrograde, uh, that you thought you had dealt with before, or you thought maybe I'm past this, or I didn't think this was an issue, but now it really is. Re-triggering of a wound can come up, but it really is also an opportunity to think about an ideal world where you have complete health, where your vitality is really restored, where you're really like functioning at your highest, most authentic self. What if you had all of that, if you were in this perfect position where you felt like your authentic purpose was being offered to you, or you had the opportunity to do that, how would that feel? Like, what would your life feel like? And how can you sort of move in that direction? And I mean, it's a really great opportunity to work on that on this Friday. because the sun rules your vitality. The sun rules your purpose in life and what just feels really resonant to you, what feels really good to you. And when it's coming into opposition with Chiron, that's a triggering of like what's still keeping you from getting there, or what woundedness about yourself do you still need to work on to get to this point where you really want to be completely living life to the fullest, right? So that's really the sun having that interaction with Chiron on Friday. Saturday, kind of a big day, right? Because um, Pluto has been retrograde uh, since what did I write? April 29th of this year. So literally the majority of this year, right? Pluto has been retrograde. So it's been kind of just grinding back across these points about, 26 degrees, 27 degrees, 25 degrees. I mean, just been, if you have any planets at like 25 to 28 degrees, even, 23 degrees of the cardinal signs, so Libra, Cancer, Aries, or Capricorn, then Pluto's just been like your the pain in your neck all year long and really has been this heavy weight on you, sort of forcing you to look at your own reality, forcing you to look at your own, mortality, your own limitations, your own like where you are in your life and what are the big questions that you are facing as a human here on Earth. So Pluto is going retrograde for the entire majority of this year, and now it's coming out of retrograde, just the way Mercury came out of retrograde today. So on Saturday, Pluto goes direct at 26 degrees Capricorn. So wherever you have 26 degrees Capricorn or any of the cardinal signs, like I mentioned before, you're gonna feel a shift, right? So this, depending on what house you have it in as well, it could be related to your health, it could be related to your business, it could be related to your relationships. Wherever Pluto is in your chart, that's where it is going to come into this sort of hyper focus as we turn from this internalized retrograde energy that Pluto has been dealing with. So you may have been really thinking about where you are on your transformational path, or where you are um, in your desire to find empowerment or deal with power issues, and now you may finally get to move forward on that. But Pluto moves so slowly that it just really feels very like this grindy type energy happening. So hang in there. This can be sometimes a hard transition. Sometimes you're just so used to dealing with this energy at this point that you're ready for it. You're prepared for it. So one thing about this position is that Pluto is not going to be going retrograde until next year, when it goes into Aquarius. So that's kind of exciting, right? We've had Pluto in Capricorn for, a decade or more, and it's finally going to start peeking into the next sign. So we're going to get like a little preview next year of what Pluto in Aquarius is going to feel like. So this is the final moment right here. It's not going to be going backwards anymore this year until 2023, when it's going to go back into Capricorn after sort of peeking into Aquarius for a little bit. So it's kind of an interesting point. Like this point of the year, you can think, all right, wherever I am on my transformational journey, wherever I am dealing with the big issues of my own mortality, the big focuses I want to look at in my entire life, now I can move forward. There's no more backwards motion for the rest of the year. So that's kind of an interesting position to be in. It will probably be very intense for a lot of people, especially if you have something going on at 26 degrees. Anyone who's born in the early 80s, like I was, or late 70s, is having their Pluto square. And it's been very intense, right? So if you have multiple things happening where Pluto is triggering your other natal planets, then that may be why you're dealing with an extra level of stress or extra level of pressure on you, right? I mean, Pluto loves to put the pressure on. So if you don't know where where the planets are activating the planets in your own chart, then definitely get in contact with me. You can go to the Resonant Essentials website and book a reading so I can look at your chart and talk to you about how exactly are these transits activating you personally and where are you going to be going from here. So I would love to talk to you about your chart and see how you can sort of use this transitional period to make your life as the easiest as possible, or make the best choices that you need for your own development. So yeah, that's definitely it. I'm going to be taking off here in a second. I did want to sort of mention that there is a full moon coming up. I will not be talking about the full moon till the actual day of the full moon, which will be next Sunday. But no, I think it's Monday. No, Sunday. Sunday the night. Okay, so we are going to be having a full moon circle. This is just for local women in the East Mountains, which is where I live. I live a little bit east of Albuquerque in the mountains. So if you are local to this area and would like to be part of this women's circle, it's going to be out here in the boonies. So I'm sure if you're from Albuquerque, you don't want to drive all the way out here. But if you are in the East Mountains and you are interested in this, then definitely message me on Facebook or send me an email. Or yeah, and of course check out Resonant Essential schedule of events, because we have amazing things coming up. We have a whole bunch of new practitioners. We have special guest speakers coming in doing isolated events. And so definitely check out the Resonant Essentials website and check out their, you can also get on their mailing list, so you get a schedule of events and right in your inbox. So that's my forecast for the week. I hope you have an awesome week. If you have any questions, or if you'd like to schedule a reading with me, go to resonantessentials.com, or you can email me, Johanna at orbitalastrology.com. So that's JOHANNA at orbitalastrology.com. So I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week. Bye.